Hello, everybody. This is Fernando for the latest Silent Hill podcast. I promised I was going to talk about the next monster within the game right after the twin feeler is revealed, and essentially you beat it. It then becomes the next monster that, in turn, is a major boss within the game itself. This one, by far, makes up for the easiness when it came to defeating the twin feeler, because in this case, it is the next incarnation of it. It is the next mature version. It grows into this behemoth known as the Floatstinger, which you'll see a picture of here. A massive thing. I think it might actually be larger, or the largest monster yet within the game itself. There's a good chance that the split head might be a little bit larger, but I think especially with the wingspan, you're looking at so far the largest one within the game. Very tough monster. This thing has a very high health rate. It took the guy I was watching. It took a lot of hits to bring this thing down, and then on top of that, the Floatstinger's attacks are very, very harmful. I mean, the guy that I was watching, he had to go through about 5 of those large health packs while he was fighting this thing. So what is it? The Floatstinger again is the next level or the next mutation of the twin feeler. If the twin feeler is the larval form, then this thing is the adult form, what it becomes afterward. And you find it on top of the post office as you progress through the game. And again, kudos to the Silent Hill makers, because they make things as realistic as possible within the game, because whenever you fight this thing on top of the post office, it's not a roof that's, let's say, an imaginary roof that only in a world of a game would be several acres large. No, this is realistically the size of a post office roof. And what this means is when you're fighting this Floatstinger, there you are in an enclosed area that's relatively small, and you're having to dodge this thing on all the attacks that it has. That's what makes the game realistic, because you're having to make sure that you're really fighting for your life, just like you would if, let's say, this was a real life interaction. And the Floatstinger, the way it's described and the way it looks, it is basically a giant moth, like a super giant moth, gigantic thing, probably about 2 or 3 times the size of Harry. And it comes out, it has a dramatic cutscene, and then it immediately starts attacking Harry on top of the roof of the post office. It's highly, highly recommended. The only way really to beat it is because of its position and the way it floats and flies. You have to have a long range weapon. You have to have either the shotgun, or you have to have the rifle, or whatever you have. As long as it's a gun of some sort, then that is the only way to beat it. But while you're trying to aim, because this thing is again flying around multiple places, it has what seems to be the most powerful weapon yet. It's like a poison of some sort that it emotes, that it spews straight at Harry. And whenever that poison hits Harry, it causes massive damage. Again, the guy I was watching, he went through 5 health packs just to beat this creature. I haven't seen him do anything like that with any of the other monsters. And then on top of that, when this thing gets into a close range, it uses its stinger right there on the bottom of its body for short range attacks. So the whole purpose of this Floatstinger is long range attacks, and then it'll come in close whenever you're cornered, and then use its stinger for short range attacks. Horrible thing. If you have a chance, try to avoid it as much as you can, but the whole point of the game is to be realistic. You're not going to hit it with your melee weapon, with your long range weapons while you're running around, so you've got to be able to stand still and shoot at it. But then again, that's where the actual attack of it comes along. Now, it is possible to hit this thing with an axe, but good lord, I mean, don't bother with it. I didn't even see the guy even once take out any of his melee weapons. So if you have to, you're out of ammo and you got no choice, then by all means. But everything as far as the attacks, go for the guns. Use them absolutely. How it looks, again, it's basically just a giant moth. It's supposed to be resembling a variation of the Bombyx silk moth, just many, many times larger. What it's representing is again the collection of insects, the items that Alessa had hanging within her room. One of them actually appears very reminiscent of it. I've included a picture of it here, and I've circled it, or I'm sorry, I pointed the arrow towards it. You'll see it kind of looks like it. So again, this could be a reincarnation of one of her beloved insects from her room, and it again, just like the previous twin feeler, it attacks attacks people for her. It does her bidding. And so think of it like a giant pet of some sort. And so whenever she took over Silent Hill and she made the world into her world, she in turn made one of her giant moths into the Floatstinger to become, I guess, her enactor of revenge. Very creepy stuff. Anything else as far as the creature? This is again the only time it's really encountered within the game. It has not made any appearances in any of the other games or films. It did make an appearance though in the play novel, which seems to be a common theme with some of the first Silent Hill monsters. You'll see a picture of it here, and then just like with some of the other monsters too, it also appeared in the Silent Hill mobile game. It looks a little different though in the mobile game, maybe just because of the keyword being mobile. It just looks smaller based on the screen, but sure enough it's in the game there too. It does make a somewhat of a cameo appearance in Silent Hill 3. There's a part where Heather is visiting Alessa's room, and in it again contains the butterfly and moth collection on her wall. This time though, one of the displays there, the glass is visibly broken, and it looks like there's a clear indication that a butterfly or slash moth was within that part that's now missing. So it's like a cameo throwback or whatever to the idea that the Floatstinger from the first game did indeed come from Alessa's own room. So nice little throwback there, nice little inclusion in Silent Hill 3 to what occurred in Silent Hill 1. Crazy, crazy stuff. One last thing, then, where this thing appears in the secret place known as Nowhere, which I might do a video on too, not just about the monsters, but in this case Nowhere being so fascinating. There's a room of some sort where Alessa is found crying, and in that room there's a drawing. Either she did the drawing or someone else did the drawing, but there's also a drawing of a giant moth that looks very, very similar to the Floatstinger. Crazy stuff. But yeah, Floatstinger, very hard boss, one of the hardest ones yet. If anyone else knows any other places where the Floatstinger has appeared, please let me know. Post those comments below. But otherwise, definitely again made up for the easiness that the Twin Feeler was when it came to defeating it. All the hardness, it looks like, was shifted over to this Floatstinger. So, alright everybody, thanks again as always. Take care.